All right, what is up, everybody? I'm Dave Van Auken, Fight Bananas. Always love talking to my main guy, not Luis Pena, but VBR, Violent Bob Ross. How you doing, my man?
Doing great, Dave. How are you?
Doing good, my man. Doing good, man. Like every time we talk, it's unreal. There's just Cher, there's Kobe, there's Madonna, and there's Violent Bob Ross, man. It's just VBR. It rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, nah, man. It always surprises me when people like recognize me out in public and stuff because I guess I'm just one of those people that like you see and you that's me, and everyone always comes up to me, Violent Bob Ross. I'm just like, how's it going?
Yeah.
Like I'm not. I don't know. I don't put too much stock into all that, but it's kind of cool. I never thought I would be like that Rampage kind of guy that like he's known by his nickname.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's me.
Like, yeah, no one even knows Quentin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
King Mo's one of those guys too.
Yeah,
it's like it's King Mo. That's it. It's wild. But for one, I really want to talk about, like I said, I think I threw it up there maybe 8 months ago, and I think that's when you and I started talking a little bit. I really think you have the potential of being one of the biggest stars. Not even in the division, in the whole damn card. You know what I mean? Like 2019, no one thought that Masvidal would have been the biggest fighter in the business. He was. Heisman Chimaev came out of nowhere.
Sorry about that.
That's all good, man. We're hitting the lights out.
Oh, man.
There we go.
Yeah. So I stay in the dorms here at ATT, and I don't know. They have like this weird like motion sensing light thing where like if you don't like move around every so often, it just
there we go. Off. So like you just got to jab every now and then,
Yeah, pretty much.
But like I was saying, Chimaev was one of the biggest stars of 2020, and I was like, man, VBR is going to be that guy of 2021. I threw it out last year. The year started really good for you. Got a nice win. Then I know it didn't go your way. Karma worthy, and then of course the end of the year with the suspension and all that crap. But 2021, man, I said it 8 months ago, and I'm sticking with it, man. I think it's your year. I think it's 3 or 4 fights for you, especially. I know you like to do it. You like to you would like to bang out 2 fights in 3 weeks if you could. And I think they're into that, especially with Fight Island or the Apex. So what do you feel? What's your momentum going into 2021?
I'm riding a really high momentum right now. I feel like as much as it sucked to get suspended, have to deal with the fine, have to deal with, all of that bad press and everything.
Right.
Kind of was a blessing in disguise. I got to slow down because I have kind of been knocking fights out, ever since I got in the UFC, like back to back.
Right.
So I've been able to like slow down these past 7 months and just really kind of like focus on getting better and focus on me. That's what I've been trying to do. Just focus on improving everywhere. And I think I've had some highs and lows in the past, 7 months dealing with the suspension and everything. But as far as like the training room goes, I feel, and you can ask my coaches like King Mo, I feel like I've been reaching a new level, and I've been hitting my stride. Like I really think I've added a lot of things to my game since you last saw me, and I've improved in a lot of areas that I was lacking since you last saw me. I think I'm ready to like really show people improvements in just the next level of Violent Bob Ross.
Absolutely, man. Like, and I kind of want you to hit on that. I got my guy Aaron, the dog. He's going to come on. He's a big fan of yours and the lifestyle as well. So he's going to join us here in a sec. But like every now when you have a camp, when you see an opponent, when you see the name on a date coming up, it's like, okay, this guy's a wrestler. I'm going to work on this. When this guy's a striker, I'm going to work on this. When you got no one fighting in 7 months, you could just work on yourself. You can just level up on all aspects of the game. I hear that all the time. Like every time they have a 6-7 month layoff, it's the best for your career going forward.
It really is, because a lot of the times I had, especially like with camps and everything, regardless if you're fighting or whatever, you're getting ready for whoever you're fighting. And sometimes you can, there are things you need to work on that you just like leave by the wayside. And when you don't have anything coming up, you don't have any names or anything in front of you, that's all you can do. That's all you really have to do is to look at yourself, go in and reevaluate the things that you need to work on. And it, like I said, it's been a blessing being able to do that. I really got back to my roots and focused a lot on my wrestling.
Right.
The past 7 months, I feel like I definitely leveled that up a lot, quite a bit. I think I'm not. I mean, I feel like I'm a well-rounded fighter when I go into the cage, but I definitely think you're going to see a lot better, just overall grappling technique. To keep it standing. I feel like a lot of the times, some of my biggest problems is the fact that like I'll let guys get in on me and initiate grappling when I should stick to what I'm doing.
I love that, man. I love that's inside stuff right there. I love that for sure. Aaron, you can take the next one. I'll kind of lead it. I know that you were going back and forth with a couple different guys on social media saying, hey, I want in. I'm ready. I know you threw out February a couple of times. A couple of guys where they wanted you in February. Is there someone you're looking forward to get, or are you just ready to get back in the cage and really start this 2021 run?
That's kind of where I'm at, man. I don't know, like as far as all these dudes that called me out and I called them out. That was just me trying to get into a card, sometime in the last couple of months there when everything was winding down in 2020. But as far as like names and anything, it doesn't really matter. I feel like for where I'm at in the division and how deep the lightweight division is, there's really no point in calling anybody out. If I call someone out, no one's really going to know who they would be if it's a realistic call out. And as far as like the guys that we have gone back and forth with, for whatever reason, the UFC decided not to make those matchups or whatever. And most of the time, everybody agreed, all sides agreed. So it is what it is. Sean Shelby's doing his job. He knows what he wants to put together and what he wants for us. So I mean, I'm not worried about that. I just want to get a name. I just want a name and a date. Something substantial in my hands. Because as like I said, it is a blessing getting to work on everything and not having anything looming over your head. But there does get a point during that time when you start to like itch and want to get back into it, and it's like, all right, I almost feel like I'm spinning my wheels and going nowhere.
Yeah. It's time. It's time. You got to start 2021, 3-4 fight win streak. You got to get one in. Exactly. Hopefully in the early spring, not the late spring, not April, not March. Hopefully by February. Aaron, take one away, my man.
Yeah. First of all, Luis, huge fan, of what you do. I always say, this is like a broken record if people have heard me interview before, but and it's easy for me to say for my position, but I do feel losses are kind of a requirement of MMA. And I do wonder how different it was, not to just harp back to the negative, but on this, I believe, the positive in the end. How different it is maybe losing a split decision where you're like, just like a couple adjustments here, a few positions, like as opposed to getting finished in your last fight. Did that force the improvements more so, or is it kind of a loss is a loss for you with this being the first time you're finished as a pro?
So it's very interesting that you bring that up because with the losses beforehand, it's like I said, like you said, they were split decisions. Some of them people thought I won, and there's like you said, there's small things I could have done here and there that could have solidified the fight for me. Whereas like with this one, I don't know, there was one. I can look back to like one specific mistake that I made that got me in the position to get finished like that. And as far as like forcing me to want to like work on things that I needed to more, it wasn't even that so much as like it forced me to have to kind of reevaluate things in my life and like come back, take a step back and like look at things like in my personal life that I didn't think I was allowing to affect me that actually were. You know what I mean? I was kind of like I wasn't being real with myself, wasn't allowing myself to like accept the fact that I was being negatively affected by these outside factors. And then once I was able to like kind of accept that, I was able to like work towards, growing past that.
Right.
I mean, that makes – oh, go ahead, Dave.
No, I was going to run in about with all these fights coming up, man. I remember when the UFC was heavyweights and light heavyweights. That was it. I think I love it that you're a lightweight, and I would love your take on about, 155, the main event, first one coming up, 145, and then we do got a 170, and then UFC 257, so 155. About you as a lightweight, have you ever thought about going down 10, gaining 10, 15, and moving around in that area? Because it seems like Neil Magny's body is pretty damn close to Max Holloway. You know what I mean? Like, I know he's a little bit longer, a little bit taller, but they're pretty damn close. Like that, those 2-3 weight classes are really close. Have you ever thought about moving around, or you just love that 155?
I mean, for the most part, 155, like, most definitely is my home. Like, it's so easy for me to make. People think I get shit all the time. There's some dude, some Canadian dude that got suspended for 2 years after he called me out. He called me out because he thought I cut too much weight or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I don't really cut a lot to make 155. Like, it's actually really, really easy. In fact, like, it's really interesting. You would think that being around the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's,
right,
I would have gained a lot of weight, but I'm actually walking around probably 8 pounds lighter than I normally do. So I have been like, I've been talking with my coaches and just kind of, evaluating myself if maybe like the drop to 45 might be in the cards. Cause like when I attempted it the first time in 2019 and I missed, I really didn't do it the right way at all. I just kind of like did it my own way and gutted out to get to down to weight, and it just didn't work out for me. But with the way my weight's looking right now, and like the way I think things would go if I were to have like the right help behind me, I really do think I could make 45 safely. But at the same time, it's like I remember that fight with Steven Peterson. I remember like after the first round, I sat down on the stool and I thought I pulled a muscle in my back because I felt like I was just like spasming in my back. But I actually found out like my kidneys were really fucked up from the weight cut. So there's a part of me that doesn't know like if it's even worth it, because I perform really well at 55. I've never felt just like overpowered by anybody at 55, even though I'm a skinnier guy. And I mean, for the most part, there's not too many guys in the weight class that I look at and I'm like, man, I don't want them on top of me because I don't know if I'd be able to get up or anything, or like there's a strength factor or knockout factor. Like there's not too many guys at 55 that just worry me like that.
There you go.
That to me sounds like you're got your answer. I think that we've found out a lot over the past, I think, last couple years. The bigger is better mentality from like wrestling purely is starting to really dissipate from this sport. And I am thrilled to see that. If you're better, you're better. And I mean, there's obviously there's a point where the strength plays a factor, but what you just said to us with that not being a factor here, I mean, to risk it and go down as you're getting later into your career, you're still young into it, but still it's like it's not easier to cut that weight to go down and find out if your kidneys are like, why fuck around and find out? You've been out for 7 months and one question I have here is, while you've been out for 7 months, I know in plenty of my breakdowns I've been hollering Luis Pena as a huge training partner for these individuals getting ready. So as you mimic these particular fighters for your teammates, has that been like a huge part of your game, or has that kind of always been a part of your preparation as a unique body type in your gyms, and they kind of always put you into that role? Is that different or the same, or am I mean, as a fighter putting a story out there that doesn't exist within the world that
I'm almost always used as like the guy when they need someone, that fits my body style or kind of fits my fighting style or whatever, or sometimes they need a wrestler or whatever.
Yep.
It's actually how it's really funny that you asked me about that. That's actually that exact scenario is how I got brought into MMA altogether.
They just saw a beautiful flower out there that was like, you are going to be molded.
Bryce Mitchell was getting ready for an amateur fight back in the day, back in like 2014. And one of my old rivals from my days in high school wrestling, hit me up because they trained together and asked me if I'd come help him out because he was like fighting a wrestler or something like that. And so I came in, threw on some gloves, and sparred with him for a little bit. And then I was like, man, maybe I might like this. And so
I love that.
No, for the most part, man, I actually enjoy that. I really enjoy it because it gives me the time to work on like different styles. Like, I've been used as a training partner to get ready for Nate Diaz. I am like the guy that people call when they want a training partner for Conor McGregor, apparently.
It's not a bad guy to be brought in to mimic.
Yeah, actually. So I was one of Habib's main sparring partners for that camp. And then I live here in, like I said, I live here at the dorms at ATT. But for Thanksgiving, I'd actually flown home to Arkansas. And I had planned to just go ahead and stay from then until after the new year because I don't think I've spent more than like a week home since I moved away in like 2015. Wow. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time home, plus kind of save some money and see, my family, my friends and everything, have an extended visit. And about I want to say like a day or two after Thanksgiving, Mike Brown hit me up and was like, hey, can you come spar Dustin for a couple weeks and help him get ready for McGregor? So I was like, yeah, I mean, I've already done it. But it's kind of cool. Like for me, it's really cool because it's allowed me to, because like I have to, as a partner, I go in and I watch, footage on the guy that I'm trying to mimic so that like I kind of know things he likes to do and different techniques. And it's allowed me to like pick up different techniques from different fighters that I've had to, study to get ready for, to add to my game and like different little tricks. I'll sometimes watch like YouTube breakdowns of guys when I'm doing my research and stuff, just to see little different things. And, for me, it's a really fun experience, a really good learning experience because like I get to work on things that I don't normally work on.
I love it.
Well, yeah, that's great.
You threw it out there. You definitely mentioned it. Fight Island, I love it. Calvin Kattar, Max Holloway. We got Kessa, we got Magny, but of course, main event in UFC 257, ATT's Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor. It could be one of the biggest fights of the whole year if we don't see an Izzy Jones or if we don't see a Habib come back. So bring us through it. Take us down the road of who you think, why, and of course, maybe a little prediction on who's going to walk out 257 victorious.
So, I mean, I spent a good amount of time working with Dustin for this fight. And I 100% think he's going to go out there and he's going to shock the world. I mean, he's going to shock everybody else. But to me and all of my teammates, everyone here at ATT, it's not going to be shocking at all. Dustin puts the work in. He's a grinder out there. You know what I mean? He's not one of those guys that shies away from the hard work or the bad days. It's and it's something we talked about too when he was getting ready. You always got to be aware of that magic that McGregor holds in the left hand. But other than that, there's not too many things he does that you have to be super worried about. You know what I mean? I think Dustin, in my opinion, Dustin is the more well-rounded fighter. Now, Conor, you could say Conor is like the better striker, the more powerful striker, but I think I think Dustin is just as good at boxing, can get in there and make it a dirty fight. And I think if Dustin sticks to the game plan, I could see him getting a finish in the later rounds. That's kind of the game plan going in, is for Dustin to tire him out and then see what happens, in those third, fourth, and fifth rounds. Because from what we've seen, McGregor, he's got the gas in the first two, but as the fight goes on, even when he's motivated, Conor, he loses steam in the second.
Right. This is 5 rounds.
5 rounds, and Dustin
likes 5 rounds. Dustin can do 5 rounds all day long.
Trust me.
Dustin's not Fat Boy Dustin from back in the day anymore.
No,
This is
trust me, man. Trust me. I did a few 5-rounders with Dustin myself. He can go 5.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for that breakdown. So
I'm so happy, dude. Like VBR, man, he just absolutely nailed it. Because I'm on the same wavelength. Like if he just kind of, I love how you said just stay away from the left in a way. Like, dude, if he wants to throw leg kicks or if Conor wants to do that spinning heel kick and all that stuff, like, let him kind of do it. Like I don't think he's going to get knocked out. Dustin's not losing that way. Dustin will lose if he gets hit in the right spot or with that overhand left. Like that's how it's going to happen early.
Exactly.
If Dustin just footworks his way a round or two, and even I know Dustin always the Hooker Dustin Poirier fight was one of the greatest fights easily of the last year and in the last couple. And I know he likes to do those kind of wars. But if he kind of makes it almost a little plain, a little bit just footwork for a round and a half, maybe even do a little wrestling, a little grappling with Conor McGregor, round 3, 4, and 5 is Dustin Poirier's. I'll go out on the limb and say that. I got no problem saying 3, 4, and 5 is Dustin's. He just stay away from that left early. That's all, right? That's my 2 cents.
And see, that's something I don't think people give a lot of credit to Dustin for like his fight IQ. As well as the coaches that he puts around him, Mike Brown, Dai Ali. I mean, I know they put together a good game plan, and that's the difference between some of the wars that Dustin's been, like the Hooker fight, where I was Dustin's main sparring partner for that camp as well, and this fight, whereas like the last fight, the whole camp, the whole game plan for Dustin with Dan Hooker was to go out there and get in his face and see if Dan Hooker could hang at the championship level.
Right.
It wasn't, it wasn't some situation where we knew what we're getting into and we need to really game plan. Dustin wanted to go out there and he wanted to test Dan, and that's what he did. And I think with this fight against McGregor, we're seeing a different level of maturity with Dustin in the way that he's approaching the build up to the fight from as to before, where I think I think there is something to say about that. I think a lot of I won't say a lot of Conor's success, but some of Conor's early success especially at 45 when he was making that good run, a lot of that, or some of that, can be attributed to the mental warfare he played with his opponents. And I think Dustin kind of succumbed to that a little bit in the first fight. And I think he's shown in the lead up to this one how much he's grown as not just as a fighter, but as a person,
right?
And being able to step back and say, hey, this isn't about me going in there and getting one back. This is about me going in there and fighting the most well-known dude in the sport right now and getting putting my ass in front of the line for a title shot.
So much there. I had American Top Team thing, but I think maybe end it with Dustin almost. Dustin, if he wins this fight, you said there, it might even be the bigger fight, a trilogy between Conor and Dustin. The UFC loves those. Dustin lost the first one. If Dustin wins the second one, it would be a huge money fight. They will redo it 2-3 months from now, especially if it like kind of what happened with Diaz and Conor. That you can argue the biggest fight of the sport of 2021 is a Poirier-McGregor 3 fight. And then real quick back to ATT. Over the week, we said Fight Island. We kind of talked about it off air before we started. Jacob Kilburn's fighting literally the first fight of 2021. Michael Beast Boy Davis is fighting Wednesday. And then it's so cool, man. I see in Instagram stories, all of a sudden Peter Yan is down there at ATT.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool.
Like, man, tell us about some of the badass stories that happens day in, day out. What happens on a Tuesday at 2:30 at ATT?
We probably trying to knock each other's heads off. As Tuesdays and Thursdays are sparring days.
Right.
Man, I don't know. There's just there's so many good fighters, so many world-class fighters, so many high-level guys, so many guys that people that I respect, that I look up to. I'm glad to be around. You know what I'm saying? It's really cool. Like there are days I get to spar with like Marcus Buchecha. You know what I mean? Like and for me that's something, because I'm like, dude, that's Buchecha. You know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's just like, who is that? But for me, it's like, dude, that's Buchecha. You know, so like, I don't know. it's just really cool getting to be around all these big names, sparring with them, working out with them, knowing, I'm there at that level, and just seeing my growth through, competing with these guys. It's been a great experience for me, especially, from here to AKA. I can't really say enough,
Yeah.
I've loved my experiences at both places, being able to work with some of the greatest fighters of all time and some of the greatest fighters that are, active right now.
For sure. You got anything, Aaron?
No, I appreciate getting to come back on. This is my first interview of 2021. So, Bob's always got a place on the Fight Bananas Breakdown Show. If you ever want to,
he killed that breakdown. That breakdown.
I'm ready to go.
What's funny is I've actually thought about like starting a podcast or something like that, because people tell me all the time I'm pretty decent and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know.
Running mate, man. I always got room for a co-host. So
what's funny is like this is probably the first interview I've done since my last fight.
Really?
Hey. Yeah. I don't think I did any interviews or anything like that.
Well, man, we appreciate you. Appreciate your time. Like I said, 8 months ago, check the stories out. And I know we talked about it. I really do believe it. I don't say it just to say it. I think 2021, the Kevin Holland, the Heisman Chimaev of 2020, the 2019 of Masvidal, 2021 is Violent Bob Ross's year. I think 3-4 wins for you. I think a big jump up, especially in that 155. I see you in that top 5, top 8 by the end of the year. I think it's going to be a better year for you, my man. I just do. I think you got the look. Everyone I talk to at ATT says, they just don't want to spar with you. You're just so different, and you're so long, you're so clean, and then you can wrestle. You still and got the grapple, and you're a tough matchup for anyone in that division. So I just, man, big ups. This is a big year for you. Big year.
I appreciate that, Dave, man. And trust me, I've been putting in the work, and I've been telling myself it's going to be a big year for me too. It's one of those things where, you just got to live up to everything that you've been putting in.
Right. Well, awesome, man. We'll let you run. Big week, 3 fights in 1 week. We can't wait. Aaron, man, I love you, man. We'll see you soon. VBR, we'll see you next time, my dude.
Appreciate it.
All right.